Hello, everyone. My name is Jimmy, and welcome to The Last Lap, where we cover all things NASCAR for you guys right here on YouTube. If you guys are new to the channel, please, if you would consider subscribing, that would mean a lot to us. We're trying to grow the channel. We just hit 60 subscribers, I believe, a few days ago, so thank you guys so much for your love and support this past year as we're about to go into the 2022 NASCAR season. And as you guys see by the title, we are going to be making our predictions for this season. And as always, I have my friend and co-host Matthew on the show, and we just got, we were laughing it up a little bit before the show started because of something, but how's it feel to be just 2 weeks away from the Clash, from the day we're recording this? 2 weeks away from the Clash, 4 weeks away from the Daytona 500. I think we're both ready for the NASCAR season to begin, but Matthew, how you feeling as we're getting ready for it to start?
Well, I've been ready for this season to start, and I've been watching some races from back then because I'm tired of not having racing during the weekend, so I've been going back on YouTube watching full races from who knows how many years it was, but I'm ready for the season to start. I'm tired of waiting, just tired. I'm ready to get some racing back in.
Yeah, all right. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna go over our 16 playoff predictions. We have a few that are a little bit different, but there's a majority that we agree on. So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna talk about some bold predictions as well, as far as maybe a certain team that's gonna get a certain amount of wins, a certain driver that might get a certain amount of wins, and stuff like that. So Matthew, why don't you go ahead and start off with the one organization that we agreed that all drivers we're going to make it. You could go over those 4 drivers and maybe go over why you think those 4 drivers might make it in the playoffs and all that kind of stuff. So go ahead and start us off with the 4 drivers that we agreed on, some of those.
Basically the first 8 drivers we both agree on going to be all 4 Hendrick cars and all 4 Joe Gibbs cars, which are Larson, Elliott, Bowman, and Byron, and then Martin Truex, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, and Christopher Bell. I know some people might be back and forth for Christopher Bell, but I'm confident enough he's going to make the playoffs in that car. But, I think that's all 4 we can agree on. They were the 2 best teams last year. And even this new car, everything's so unpredictable, so we got to just predict on how they were last season or the past few years. But who knows? I'm sure with the new car, they might still be on top. But we don't know that because it's a new car and a new business model. So maybe some of the middle teams might be up there. So that's, but I'm confident those 2 big 4-car teams will be on there.
Yeah, so like I just said, Hendrick Motorsports and Gibbs Racing were pretty much solidified on all 8 of those drivers. Kyle Larson, the defending champion. I don't see why he would not get back in the playoffs and maybe even make it all the way to Championship 4 again. Chase Elliott coming off a 2-win season. He's great at the road courses. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a win or 2 there. But if not, points, he would probably point his way in. Same with William Byron and Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman, I don't know if he'll get 4 wins again next season. Probably not, but he might be able to get 1 or 2 wins in the regular season and punch his ticket, but if not, he'll obviously make it out on points. William Byron, he's due for a breakout season any time now. Last year was kind of a breakout season for him, as he had a ton of top 10s. He set the record, I think, at Hendrick Motorsports for most consecutive top 10s or something like that, and he ran well pretty much all season, just got some bad luck in the playoffs. As for Joe Gibbs Racing, your driver Kyle Busch, you can never really count him out. Just with his dominance in NASCAR and all 3 series, I believe he will easily make the playoffs along with Denny Hamlin. He was runner-up in the regular season championship with Kyle Larson without a win all season long, so he'll definitely be in. Martin Truex Jr., really good at the 750 horsepower tracks last season. Now we can't call them that, so I'm just going to call them the short tracks. Martin Truex Jr. was good on all of those, and Christopher Bell as well. He was really good at those short tracks, so I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe gets a win or 2 at those short tracks. But obviously, if he doesn't win, I obviously think he'll make his way in on points. Who should we do next? Should we go Ford, or should we... Let's go Ford. Let's go with the Fords for a little bit. So, we'll go I'll say one, I guess, and then you can say one or two. Well, I'll say two, and then you can say a few after that. So the next one, I'm gonna say Kevin Harvick makes the playoffs. He had a slump last year. Obviously, he did not win, but he was pretty consistent in points, and he's a veteran of the sport, so I don't see why he would not make the playoffs. So he is in for both of us. And the bottom two here are a little bit risky. So I'll actually say these next two because we both agree on these firmly. Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney, the two Penske cars, we both think they will both make the playoffs. Joey Logano had a little bit of a slump last season. His only win was at Bristol Dirt, which is a little bit surprising because I don't think anybody really expected him to win that race of all races. But he got one win. He ran pretty well at the super speedways, as we expect out of the Penske cars. Ryan Blaney, he had a breakout season. He had 3 wins, all of them being on the lower horsepower, higher downforce package. I almost got that wrong for a second. So Ryan Blaney, I expect him to do well in the super speedways as well. He could obviously point his way in if he doesn't win a race in that Penske equipment. So Matthew, I don't know if you want to elaborate on those 3 or if you just want to go for your next 2, but it's up to you. Go ahead and do whatever you want with whatever you want to do about this playoff grid.
So besides those 8 drivers I just listed, for the Ford side, I think we're going to be really similar on here. I got Kevin Harvick for number 9 because even though he was winless last season, he was basically carrying Stewart-Haas last year. And I feel like Stewart-Haas will get back on track, especially with his new car. And I think Harvick will have a bounce-back season. So I got him number 9. I got Joey Logano number 10 and also Ryan Blaney in number 11 as well. And Ford in general kind of struggled, to be quite honest, but I think they'll be fine. I think Logano will be just fine. And Ryan Blaney, he had a breakout season. We'll see, but he needs to have another multiple win season, just like last season.
Alright, so next, we'll keep it rolling with the Ford train, because these two, we both agree on them, but they might be a little bit controversial to a few people. I know Eric Estep didn't have one of these guys in his playoff video a few days ago, but the first one I'm going to say that we both agree on is Brad Keselowski. And people might be a little bit skeptical about this because he's obviously with Roush now. They co-own a team, Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing. But I think Brad Keselowski has enough experience in the sport, and with the next gen car, with all these unpredictables, I feel like Brad Keselowski will be able to use more of his talent more than, everybody being used to the new car and all of that. I think he'll be able to use his talent and his skill to either get a win or to point his way into the playoffs. And the other Ford that is, well, there's a lot of Fords that are controversial actually, but this other one is a rookie, and we both believe Austin Cendrick is going to make the playoffs. Whether that's via a win or pointing his way in, he is in Penske equipment, and I believe that they are going to excel on the super speedways like they always do. And Austin Cedric on the road courses, he ran very well at Road America until he had an unfortunate mechanical issue. So I believe Austin Cedric will make the playoffs as well, whether it's via a win or pointing his way in because of the super speedways and the road courses for them. So Matthew, you can elaborate on those 2 if you want, or keep on rolling with who you think is going to make the playoffs.
So for number 12, I got Brad Keselowski, like he has, and I know that some people might have mixed opinions, like, oh, it's Roush, they haven't been good since 2005, but I think with a new car, and I think Brad Keselowski is just an amazing driver talent-wise. I just feel like he's gonna be good enough to be in the playoffs, I feel like. So I don't know if he'll win or not. I don't know, but I think he's going to be good enough to make the playoffs for sure. So that's why I have him in there. And then number 13, I got, Austin Cedric, yeah. That one is also controversial because rookies in the Cup Series tend to not be good once they get in it. Like Chase Briscoe last year, for example, 9 wins Xfinity, was terrible last year. Or Christopher Bell in 2020, even though that was LeVon Family Racing, but I mean, they still have Gibbs and line cars, but I mean, I just feel like with this new car, it's unpredictable. And also, Cedric ran part time last year in the Cup Series, and we saw him lead laps and the road courses in that fourth Penske car, which unfortunately he couldn't get the results he wanted because of mechanical issues being that part-time car. But I think he's going that road courses. I think he could sneak that one win in on the road courses, and that's why I'm putting him in the playoffs right there.
All right, so the last driver that we agree on is Kurt Busch, who will be at 2311 Racing this year for his first year joining Bubba Wallace over there. And I believe Kurt Busch is kind of similar to Brad Keselowski on why he will make the playoffs, because Kurt Busch has been in the sport for several years. Man, I don't even remember his rookie years. Early 2000s, I think, but he's been in the sport for quite a while, and he'll be in a Toyota, and the Toyotas obviously are super fast. I think Kurt Busch is going to help elevate that 2311 Racing program, and I'm not sure if he'll get a win. That's not really in my bold predictions, I guess, just to give a little hint at that for later. But I definitely think he can point his way in with his skill and experience in the Cup Series. So Kurt Busch is the final driver that we agree on. So Matthew, why do you think Kurt Busch is going to make it into the playoffs this year?
And I also got Kurt Busch in my playoff bracket as well. He'll be the first 2311 car to be in the playoffs, and I think that team is going to get better this season, because last year they were a brand new team, and of course everybody's throwing these high expectations. This is Michael Jordan and Bubba Wallace, and I was like, hold your horses. It's a brand new team. They're going to take a while to be any good, and I was right. It took a while for them to win. So I think now with a full off season in, brand new car, a veteran presence, a champion, that team overall is going to be so much better than last season. And I think it's even going to prove Bubba Wallace as well. But I'm going to have Kurt Busch as the only playoff 2311 driver in the playoffs, and I think he'll win next year.
Okay, so
this year.
The final two spots, I believe we've done 14 at this point, and we agree on all 14 so far. So the final two, this is where we disagree on a little bit, which is okay. We're okay to disagree. Disagreeing is fine. It's all part of it. Just all part of fun and games. We don't want to make everything the same, because that would just be a boring video, obviously. But for me, the last two drivers that I think are going to make the playoffs are teammates, but they aren't the teammates you went with. I'm going with Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick as the final two drivers to make the playoffs. Tyler Reddick, because he had an amazing season last year. He improved in basically every category. I believe he had 15 or 16 top 10s, I believe, and I think he finished 13th in owner points, I believe. So Tyler Reddick, I think he's going to make the playoffs again. He is arguably the best driver at RCR right now. And for Austin Dillon, I believe he's going to make the playoffs because he was literally going to make the playoffs last year, but Eric Almirola won at New Hampshire, and basically threw Austin Dillon out and made it a battle between both of those drivers, actually, Tyler Reddick and Austin Dillon, for the final point spot. And Michael McDowell also won the Daytona 500, so that hurt Austin Dillon as well. So I think without any crazy winners this year, I think Austin Dillon points his way into the playoffs. I believe he'll be the last one in on points, probably, but I'm not 100% sure. But Matthew, go ahead and you can either respond to why I picked my two drivers, or you can go ahead and pick your two drivers for the final spot. So go ahead and tell the fans what you got.
Alright, so my last two spots are controversial, kind of. Well, maybe the last spot, but the first one, number 15, I got Eric Almirola. In his final season, I think he'll make the playoffs. Now, I know last year was absolutely horrible, but SHR was horrible in a nutshell. But before 2021, Eric Almirola has always been a consistent driver who's always pointed his way in the playoffs. Sure, he doesn't win a lot, but he's always been a top 10, top 15 contender. So I feel like as long as HHR doesn't have another bad year, I feel like Eric Almirola will be once again good enough to point himself for the playoffs like he's done ever since he's been to SHR back in 2018. So that's why I got him number 15. Some people may disagree, but I'm just going off base of how that 10 car has been from ever since 2018. And the last spot, I know you put Tyler Reddick in there, and I agree, but I wanted to do a little put an underdog on this spot because that's what happens every year. We always have that underdog who people say, oh, he doesn't deserve to be in playoffs, but he's in anyways. Michael McDowell, for example, last year was the perfect example. Or Cole Custer in 2020. I'm going to put Chase Briscoe as the number 16 spot. And here's my reason why. I know last year was not that good for him. But like I just said with Eric Almirola, SHR was bad in general. I don't think that was really his fault. But the road courses, once again, it was really, really shined at. Road America, he was like in the top 5. And of course, the biggest example, which Jimmy was there for, the Indy Road Course, which he was in front and contending for the win until he cut the corner there and then wrecked Hamlin. But besides, I feel like Chase Briscoe could win on one of those road courses, mainly the Indy Road Course, because that's where he really shined at. So that's where I'm putting my money on that race for. But yeah, I got Chase Briscoe as the final spot. I just thought change it around, put an underdog in that last spot.
Yeah, I like that. I like the boldness in your final pick and Chase Briscoe there. I think Eric Almirola is definitely a valid argument as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over 2 quote-unquote bold predictions that I have for this upcoming season. I think you have 3, so you have me beat over there, but I'm going to go with these 2 bold predictions for the season in general. So the first one is that I'll save this other one for last. I think I'll go with this one first. I'm going to say that Brad Keselowski will win at least one race with RFK Racing this season, and that is because of his incredible talent on the super speedway races. He won Talladega last season. Unfortunately, that was his only win, but he's won at Daytona and mostly Talladega, actually. He's won at Talladega several times, and I don't see why he can't do that again, especially in a Ford, and the way the Fords work so well together at these super speedway races. So I'm going to say Brad Keselowski wins at least one race with RFK Racing this season. He could win more. He could win 2 or 3 super speedway races. He could win in a mile and a half, a short track. He's pretty good at the short tracks as well. So I think Brad Keselowski could win at least one race with RFK Racing. And then my final prediction for this season, I'm going to say that Austin Cendrick will win multiple races this season because of how many road courses are on the schedule, and then also for the same reason as Brad Keselowski of the super speedway races, because the Penske cars and the Fords in general, like I just said, are so good at working together on these super speedway races. I feel like he could be up front and just in the right place at the right time and win one of those, or he could go out and win a few road course races too. So I'm going to say that Austin Cindric will win multiple races in his rookie season at Penske. So Matthew, you can either respond to what you think about those, and or you can give me your predictions that I already know, but the fans don't know them. So go ahead and tell me what you got.
Well, I agree on the Keselowski take. The Cendric one, I think he'll win one race, but I don't know about multiple. He's a rookie. We got to keep that in mind. A rookie in the Cup Series to win multiple races. It hasn't been done since Denny Hamlin all the way back in 2006. That's a long time ago, so I just don't know about that one. But
that's why it's a bold prediction. You got to go big or go home.
All right, so here's my 3. So I'm going to start off with 2311 Racing. I think 2311 Racing is going to win multiple races next season. I think that program is going to get better. It's going to be better this season, especially with Kurt Busch. I think Kurt Busch will be the one that does the multiple wins. but there's always Bubba Wallace, who I think can win a super speedway. I didn't put him in my playoff predictions, but I feel like Bubba Wallace can still win a super speedway race and get in the playoffs. So that's what I think. I think 2311 will win multiple races. And then William Byron is going to be my second one here. I think William Byron's going to win multiple races as well. The past 2 seasons, he's won 1 race. But last season was really where he took off, basically, and became a race-winning contender almost every race. So I feel like this season is his time to start winning multiple races. Like what Blaney did last season, like Alex Bowman did last season. I think it's Byron's turn now to win multiple races. And then for my third prediction, this is about Calling Racing. I think Calling Racing will win a race next season, but it won't be Justin Haley. I'm not sold on him yet. I know he's a great super speedway racer, but that's really it. I think it'll be that 16 car that wins that one race. Now, who will win that race? I don't know. But I think Strolling will be AJ Allmendinger, of course, because we got like 6 road courses, and that's plenty of chances for Allmendinger to win one of those road courses. So that's my 3 predictions.
I like that. I like those. I'll go even further and make it even bolder, the last one that you did. I'll go ahead and say that the 16 car does better in owner points than Justin Haley. I'll throw that bold prediction out there. I think that is very likely with the 3 drivers behind the wheel of the 16 car. So I'll throw that out there as a bold prediction on top of yours. As far as the William Byron one, I like that. I think William Byron is due for a breakout year. Like I said earlier in the video, he could win 2 or 3 races, maybe even more than that. Like Alex Bowman won 4 last year, and who expected that? So that could easily happen with William Byron. And for 2311 Racing, you said that they'll win multiple races, but did you say anything about Bubba Wallace winning one, or do you think they'll all be with Kurt Busch? I didn't quite hear what you were saying about that.
I predicted Kurt Busch will win 2 and Bubba Wallace 1. Even though I didn't put him in my playoff prediction, which doesn't make sense, but I'm just going to put that in there anyways.
Okay, got it. Okay. Yeah, that one I'm a little iffy about. I mean, I think if they were to get multiple wins, I feel like more of them would come with Kurt Busch, but you never know. Like, this whole season is going to be so unpredictable with the next-gen car. We could have some lower teams compete a little bit more, maybe get a few more shocks in the playoffs, maybe not even just wins, just teams running well, like Trackhouse Racing, Daniel Suarez and Ross Chastain. They could sneak their way into the playoffs at the bottom of the grid. We got Calling Racing with Justin Haley. We have several other teams. We have the Petty GMS Racing.
Don't forget the other Roush Fenway Keselowski car, Chris Buescher. Maybe he'll benefit with Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, Chris Buescher, he ran very well last season too. So there's a lot of names that we didn't mention that could sneak their way into the playoffs. But Matthew, do you have any other closing thoughts before we go ahead and wrap the predictions video up? We'll have to see if we do any better than last year, because I think we absolutely butchered it last year, but we'll have to see how we do. But do you have any other closing thoughts before we wrap it up?
Well, just 2 things before we close it out here. Last night, they announced that Tony Stewart was going to be in the Fox booth for the Clash and the Daytona 500, which is exciting to see Tony Stewart in the booth. He's always one of my favorite. He's always been one of my favorites, especially with his how do you say it? No filter, basically. So I can't wait to see him in the booth. And also testing this week. More next-gen testing at Phoenix. They're doing the live stream on Tuesday and Wednesday. And I'll be watching those, not during class. So I have to say that my mom will probably be watching this, not during class. But I'll be keeping up with it. So I can't wait to see more next-gen testing this week. And yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, way to be a good student and say you're not going to watch the testing during class. I'm not on campus that much, so hopefully it isn't on too much while I'm in class. But I think that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this video. Oh, let me say my comments about the whole Tony Stewart thing. I think that's great that Tony Stewart's going to be in the booth with Clint Boyer. I think that's going to it's going to make the broadcast even more funny for the Clash and for the Daytona 500. That's going to be really cool to see Smoke in the booth. We haven't really seen him too much around. I know he's doing like some NHRA stuff, and I know he got recently married and everything, so it's nice to see him back involved in NASCAR a little bit more. So that'll be a lot of fun to see him in the booth for those 2 races. But now that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this video. We hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any shocks that you might think make the playoffs or any bold predictions, make sure to leave those in the comments below. We would love to see those and respond to them. We'll be on top of those as soon as you guys do that, because this season's unpredictable. Like I said, there could be a bunch of shockers in the playoffs. We could see somebody go off and get a bunch of wins. We could see somebody like, I don't know, who could get 10 wins next season. Like Kyle Busch could get 10 wins next season. Denny Hamlin could get 10 wins next season. Anybody could go off and have an amazing season like Kyle Larson did last year. But yeah, let us know your predictions in the comments. Check us out on our Instagram page as well. We'll be posting over there a lot more throughout the season. But until next time, we will see you guys in our next video.